Okay, everybody, and what we're looking at today is a follow-up to where we generated using Google Documents, Google-based websites, is basically making a template of, forklift inspections and other inspections. And this was brought to us by Dylan Ruhl, a senior safety consultant and manager of IT with East Coast Risk Management. And one of the things he was doing, I'm not going to use his actual template and form that he created for his client, but basically this video is going to show you how to generate your own. This is really beneficial to the companies that are generating, electronic documents due to Paperwork Reduction Act, trying to track, a very effective way of tracking whether inspections are being generated and completed by their workers. So what you see on the screen is basically I made a mock-up of the one that Dylan had created for his client. I didn't want to use his for the simple fact, with people looking at the videos not knowing who his clients are, not seeing how they're doing it, what type of equipment. So basically what you're looking at is a baseline forklift inspection. So as you're going down, there's quite a few things that can actually go into a forklift inspection. Some of them be very general, especially if you have an experienced operator, right? So he's going to know to look at various things. He's going to look at the equipment from the tip of the forks to the back of the tires on the counterweights and everything else. So you can make this as simple as complex as you need to based off your drivers, your facility, the type of things you're going through. So we'll just look at this. This is not a complete form. It's just one I threw together for the video. So it's set up right now for a facility that has set equipment, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you may not have rentals to replace things that are coming in. So basically, when you generate this form, you see how it's kind of narrow. Well, these are designed so if you take your phone and you scan the QR code, and then we'll go into how to generate that at the end. But if you scan it, this will come up on a phone or tablet, so it's designed to be centered and go in with there. So basically, the way this one is set up for this, application for this video is right here. As it comes up, we're going to select the equipment. So right now I've got three common types in there. I've got a Toyota 5K, number 005. I got a JLG 10K. That's a LUL 001 and then a LUL 002. Now, the reason that doesn't say 10K, you have a variety of lulls. A 10K has outriggers. So when you have outriggers, there's different things you have to check, on something like that. You're going to have to check the outriggers. You're going to have to check your hydraulic fluid levels and things like that to make sure it's fit. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to simplify it. We'll just go to the Toyota 5K. Now, then it asks for the inspector operator's name. Now, it should be the operator inspecting this. So I'm going to enter my name. And what's going to happen is it's going to propagate. Now, I'll explain why we're not putting a time and date format in there. We can do that, but you'll see at the end, once the form is generated, it'll auto-populate it at your request. So now that I put down, I've got Toyota 5K. I put in my name. I'm going to go down and, this is not a complete inspection. I'll show you how to add to this and how it'll change. So you look at the overhead guard. Is it safe? Is it fail? Or is it not present? So I put in three different things there. So depending on the equipment that you have, it may not have a ropes cage. It should, with the new ones, but in some positions and some facilities, if they have to go under certain pieces of equipment or, underneath a piece of doorway or something, it may not have that. It depends on the equipment. So we're going to say it passes. Hydraulic cylinder that lifts the forks that's on the outside of the cage and the lines, are there any damages? It's a pass. Fork conditions are good. We're looking for any bends. We're looking for anything on the tines that's going to prevent us from getting safely into a pallet or piece of equipment. Is the steering wheel and horn functioning? Are the lights functioning? Oh, let's put down fail on fire extinguisher, okay? Because I've been in some facilities that there's no fire extinguisher on the equipment. They have them throughout the warehouse, but none specifically on there. And it actually, you should have it. A lot of places do, but in some cases we don't. And is the battery in good condition? Because regardless of the type of equipment you have, you have to lift the seat on like your LPGs and some of the others to check the battery. You want to make sure there's no acid leaks. So you see right here, this question requires one response per row. So it lets us finish. If I had not done anything, you'd have that red highlight. So with this, we'll say any safety issues or damage. Well, yeah, fire extinguisher. So we're going to put down no, or we're actually going to choose any safety issues or damage. We'll put yes and next. What it's going to do is it's going to come to here because I set up if-then thing to do not use equipment. Report immediately to supervisor. Okay, so I did that because the fire extinguisher was not present. Again, it should be present, but there's actually more. So let's look at how we generated this and how we can improve it based off your needs at your facility. So I'm going to go to where I was developing the form. And if you're wondering how to get to this, a lot of people question when they get into Google Documents. I'm going to open a new tab, and I'm going to type form.google. And you see up there in the upper left, it says forms.google.com. So to get there, you could do Google Docs, then come over here and click on this, come over and scroll the way down to Forms, or you can automatically type forms.google.com. So if you see, they've got some predated forms and things to give you ideas. So you can find a time, you can set up assessments. You don't have to generate everything from scratch, but you will have to modify. So the one I'm currently working on is a forklift inspection, which I've already got opened up here. So let's say you want to modify this for your facility. So the way we do it, I'm going to click on each one, but you see where the heading is here? If I wanted to add another field, which I do need to, I'm going to put down add a question. Or I could say import some information, add title and description. You see where this says section 1 of 2? It's because I'm using this right here. So these two things, that's so I could do the if and then. So if there's an issue, if there's any safety issue, and I'll click on this, you see right here where it says submit form if there's no issues. If there is an issue, the if then it goes to section 2. So I'll show you how to do that. I'll delete this so that you can see in person how that works, because it's simply better if you see it from the beginning. So I'm going to delete that section. So what it's going to do is it's taken that out, right? So now that's missing from the header up here. So what if I don't have, all these forklifts right here, right? What if I have a rental? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have these in here, and it's simply, I can make it a drop down. I can make it multiple choice, but really I don't want to do that because you see when you put the multiple choice, it's going to put all of these bullets and all of these checks right here. So to take less space, I'm going to have a drop down. All right. And you can do check boxes right here. It'll put a box to the left, but it's easier and it's simpler just to have a drop down. So I've got that where I've got the Toyota 5K. And again, you just click within that field. And then if you want to add one, I'm going to put down here, add option, and I'm going to put rental. But because I need to know what type of rental, because, a person's only going to operate the equipment that they're authorized to operate. So if I'm only listed up to a 5K or a 10K, I don't want to be using a 15 or a 20K. I'm not moving cargo containers. So since that's not an option I can select from, I put that in there. So when that comes down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this question. And what I'm going to do is make that a simple line, short answer, and the question is rental type. Type and weight. So what's going to happen is, as you see I'm making these changes, let me redo that. Once I do that, it's going to give a short answer. It's not required because if I make it required, like up here, it is required answer. They have to do that. So you click that on, click that off. They have to select one of these options. Well, I don't want to do that to the rental type because if I don't have a rental, it's going to force them to populate that answer, and I'll show you. So when I'm going to go up here, I'm going to go to this eyeball, and that's going to let us see what it looks like. So see, it automatically went to Toyota. I could change that, but see, if I go to rental, if I got the rental, then I can put down Toyota, and I'll put like a 10K. So that way, when it goes into my inspection report, they'll know, okay, it wasn't an internal piece of equipment. It was a rental piece of equipment that I operated. All right, so let's close that. Let's close the other one, and let's go back over here. So if I have a rental, this is good for some facilities that have it. You definitely want to have that option, because if you do bring a piece of equipment in and they say, let me see your inspection records for that, you want to have that available. So then we went down. You definitely got to have the instructor, the inspector or operator. Again, that's required. And then down here, let's say that you got different types of fuel, okay? So I'm going to add for this, because if it's a rental, it's not in my inventory. What type of fuel does it use? Is it electric? Is it LPG? Is it diesel? So it also, depending on what type of equipment it is, the guys are going to have to do additional checks for electrical operated. You're going to find those mostly in warehouses. If it's an external like LPG and stuff, that lets them know that, hey, there's other things I need to check, because where I connect to LPG, I got to check the gaskets on the hoses. There's a different way to shut it down. So it's little things I'm going to look at to make sure the tank is in place, the tank is secure. If it's diesel powered, I'm going to have to check my fuel levels. So what we'll do is we'll put in here fuel type. And you don't have to do this. This does not have to be part of your inspection. But again, if you have a rental, it's a good thing to let them know, okay, this one's diesel. We normally operate LPG, so that means I'm going to need to bring diesel on fuel. So the way we'll do that, you see where it says multiple choice? So what we're going to do is you've got multiple choice grid. You got grid boxes. I'm just going to show you how to do these things. So if it's a multiple choice, what we're going to do is we're going to go down here. We're going to put diesel. Then we're going to go down here and add another electric, because some places still have it. And then here, LPG. So that's going to allow that. So when we do this, we're going to make this required, because that way too, whoever's handling will say, hey, we're using this. The reason they do that too is in certain environments, you have to have intrinsically safe equipment. You have to have things that have spark arresters because of flammable storage. So it's just another thing you can add. So before we get down to the inspection too, one of the things that's absolutely important, especially for maintenance, is the hours on the meters. So what we'll do is we'll add another question, and then we'll put meter hours. So this helps for whoever's handling maintenance, whether it's a rental, whether it's something internal and your maintenance team has to do it. By knowing the meter hours, they could set on their spreadsheets every 1,500 hours, hey, we're going to do this. Plus, it helps when you're doing the inspection. When you key it on and you go in, they can say, okay, that we know for a fact you checked it, because it's not 2,400 hours, and then the last guy did 2,400 hours. It's just one way to make sure they're checking their gauges. So you have all these different things. You can do linear scales. We're going to leave it on short answer, and we're going to make it required. We want them to check the hours. So we go down from there. What's another big thing, that most people look at? They're like, well, tines, stuff like that. We can add that. So we've added these different things. We want it required because we want them to check that. We want to know what the fuel type is, because if it is diesel or it is LPG, we want to make sure that certain things are in place, like the fire extinguisher, spill pads, things like that. So let's go back up here. We take a peek. Look at that. Fuel type. You see where the red star is? Anything with the red star has a required type. I probably need to go in here where it says the rental type and weight and take that out because it's a rental. But that's where I've added the information. So we go down here, meter answers, see, like I could put in 8,500. And because I put something in, it's not going to give me that thing, well, you need to put this in. So see, we're adding to this. It does help, again, and we're going to put diesel. I don't know why that came up. Because again, if they're looking at it, People say, okay, I got to remember with this rental, it's diesel. We normally have LPG. I'm going to have fuel. You don't have to have that because once they bring it into service, they're going to know that. So what we'll do is let's say that's not necessary, right? That's not necessary for an inspection or a pre-inspection. That's necessary for inventory control. So let's go down and let's say we don't really need that anymore. You see this little delete sign right here? So we're going to delete that. It's automatically going to save. Let's go back to preview, and there it is. That's gone. We still want the meter hours because that's going to let us know how long that operator operated that piece of equipment prior to shift, which is helpful. Okay, so we got some of these things that apply. Let's go back and add just a few more things that's critical to an inspection. One of the things that's most important on inspection that a lot of people don't think about are the tires. So as you see, this one is set up on multiple grid. I did that so we could put pass, fail, or not present because not all equipment has the exact same thing, right? So if I would have changed that to checkbox grid, you see it moved it from the circles to boxes. And then I'll go back multiple choice grid, circle. So it really doesn't matter. It's just easier so that when we're reviewing it, again, as we're going across, did it pass, did it fail, or it's not present. So let's put down one of the most important things. Tire condition. That's one of the things you want to know. If you have solid tires and you have chunks missing from the edges where it's hit curbs, it's dropped off the edge, that's going to affect your, handling and stability of that vehicle. If it's, got gas lines or something, you want to check on, are the seals and gaskets? Seals, gaskets, lines. LPG. And we'll put specifically for that because we want to make sure that those connections are good because if we're going to operate in LPG. You also want to look at, your cab controls. Okay, hit that. So we're just adding some things because, one of the things we're worried about, cab controls. Are the forks lifting up? Is the mast going to move? Is it side shift? Are they operating correctly? Because if somebody places something up into the steel and they can't shift it over, what are they going to do? They're going to try and turn the whole body of that forklift to get that gap, to get the spacing. And again, this is a required response in each row. So we made these additions. You can add or put down as few as you want. We'll go up here, take a peek at what it looks like now. So we got rid of the fuel type. We've got the rental type and weight if it's a rental. You see where these are auto-populated? So where we previously did it, down here on the bottom right, clear form. Let's clear the form, and boom, it's right back to the beginning. So where we've added stuff, the cab control, seals, gaskets, and line, tire condition. What we'll do is anything that has a fail, we want them to be able to put something in there. It may not be a safety issue or damage, but what we're wanting them to do is list if something is not present or if it's a fail. Tires may be low on air. Depending on the piece of equipment, it may be air-filled tires. It could be anything from class 4, class 5. It could be a lull. So you're looking at things. But what's one of the other things that most people forget about in this is when they're operating a piece of equipment, OSHA has a requirement is the manual on board in case. Manufacturer's manual, right? Any piece of equipment is supposed to have a manufacturer's manual because if it's new to me, I have to be able to read it and say, hey, this is where I check the hydraulic fluid. This is what my battery levels need to be. The diesel, does it need DEF fluid? Do I have to have additives to it? It will tell you little things like that. So we've added our if-then conditions, right? If it's pass, it pass. If it fails, it's going to do certain things. So one of the things we're going to put down here, we got that in. Let's add another section, and then, that goes above where we had the safety issues, where if there's any fails, we want them to put down, this thing. So we'll put in a paragraph in case it's an issue where they need to list fail, or if you look up here, we'll put not present. And this allows the person inspecting it to say, yes, it failed because the lights weren't working. But if I'm driving it outside in broad daylight, do I really need lights? In some places, yes. That allows people moving in and around you. You know, if you got the strobe on the back, if that strobe's not lit up, they can't tell that that piece of equipment is initiated, it's engaged. So we're going to make this required so that they don't forget to put anything in. Even if it passes, they can put in NA, right? So let's take a look at that. You go down, they have all the checks. List fail or not present, they can put in not applicable. They can put in something, but that way we know that they're not pencil whipping and just going down click, click, click. List fail or not present. We'll say describe here. That way, we'll put down enter NA if no issues. All right, no pencil whipping. So they're actually going to have to see this. It's automatically saved. We'll go down here, enter NA if no issues. That way we know they're following the format, right? People pencil whip to get stuff done, get it out. All right, so now we'll add that if then, okay? Because right now, if we do this, once we go through, and we'll just select this really quick. Let's select a piece of equipment, 5K. Show you how this works. Enter my name. Sorry, that's inspector. I got ahead of myself. I forgot we added that. It's not. Let me just clear. So let's clear the form. All right, so let's clear the form. Let's do this again. Got ahead of myself. 5K. It's not a rental. Inspector operator name. Let's say it has 2,400 hours on it, which is a good amount. Check HIM applies. So I've got ropes overhead protection. Hydraulic cylinders, no damage. 4 conditions are pass. Steering wheel horn works. Lights work. Fire extinguisher. Battery in good condition. Tire condition. Seals gasket line. Cab controls. Manual and case. That red line disappears. Now on some of the others, on the paper ones I've written for clients, I always put down seat belt. I've always put down, handrails, guardrails, things like that. But again, we're looking at this as a whole. So if they don't have a seatbelt's issued, you can put down safety issues or damage, choose that, whatever you want. But see, when we tried to go to that, I put, say, enter NA of no issues. So I didn't enter that. So it wasn't going to let me just go on to the next section. So I'm going to put yes. But see, what happens is when I submit it, it automatically received it. So we need that condition in there if there's a safety issue to tell the operator, stop. Do not operate this piece of equipment. So what we're going to do is go down here under safety issues, and you see where it says continue to the next section. So we need that next section. So we'll click the add section. Now this is going to be our pause. This is where it's going to say stop, do not use. And so you'll see how it works. We'll pass it, and then we won't pass it, and you'll see how this works. So equipment failure. And we're telling them, do not operate. And down here we'll say notify maintenance or supervisor. Okay, so simple stuff, right? So now up here for our if then, any safety issue or damage. If it is damage, we want them to go down to do not operate. So the way I did that is we made a drop down list. We put in the conditions, right? And yeah, I can show you again, we made drop down list, but to get the conditions in there, you see here, click on that and just, you see where it said description, and then we'll just add that again, go to section based on answer. See, now when I put the drop down, there's normally no section based on answer. So to get this, to stop them from using it, I come down right next to required, and I say go to section based on answer. Here's where you'd put the if then. So if there is damage to it, we're going to tell it to go down to section 2. They won't see this during the inspection. It's only if they say yes. If there's no, we're telling them they can go ahead and submit their inspection and go to submit form. And we'll look at both ways on how this is done, right? So we've got all that in. Let's see what it looks like. So I'm going to go down here. You do not see the equipment fail, all right? So we're going to choose a piece of equipment. Let's do the 5K. Now I'm just going to put my initials in this time, just for expediency. Hours, it still has 1,500. All right, we'll pass each thing. So we'll pass everything to show what it looks like when it passes inspection. See, the box is in red right now because we have to put a check mark in everything. Tire condition, we're going to put not present like it's got tracks on it. Everything's good. We've got everything marked. The red disappears. Okay, we go into here because it's got a requirement. We're going to put NA. Any safety issues or damage, we're going to put yes. So this is what happens when it fails because our tire condition is not there, right? When we hit next, oh, equipment failed inspection, do not operate, notify supervisor of maintenance. So now if I submit it, it's going to go into that database that this piece of equipment failed inspection. You can't, there's nothing to do. It tells me right there, do not operate. I can't submit the final report until I see that header right there. So I hit submit. Okay, so let's see what happens when it passes. Comes back to a new form. Everything's exactly the same. So since that failed, let's go to the lull. We're going to say that, it's not a rental. Again, we'll use these. Meter hours. This is a little bit older piece of equipment. We'll say 2,700 hours on the meter. It's got everything. Everything passes. This is a good piece of equipment. JLG, Toyota, they all make good stuff. Nobody's went rough on it. List failed, not present. And so nothing's in there. So I'm going to put NA. Any safety issues or damage? No. So because I didn't select yes, it should automatically go to the submit button. So I selected next. Look at that. No restrictions. Automatically good to go. I hit submit. My inspection's complete. No problems. So that's basically how that works. So one of the great things is if you're generating this, you can make this for anything. You can make it for vehicle inspections. You could set up for SCBAs, harnesses. You could do this for anything. You just put in what you're inspecting, ownership, number, anything you want to do. But let's say you want to personalize it more. So I'm going to close this. And if you look up here, there's a palette. You could select that. You could check what type of font. I'm going to see how the font changed right here in section 1. I'm going to make that a little bit bolder, and come over here. I'm going to make that extra bold. And then all it's Nunito. Let's say I want to put a header, right? Because there's nothing right here. And when I look at it, it's a forklift inspection. Some people are very visual. So to help them, I've already created a header for this. You can use these pre-made when you select the header. And again, when you click on your customized theme, you go down here, choose an image. You could use theirs. You can upload. So if you upload, it's got to be 1200 by 300. All right. So you see that right there, ATSG pittance. It's 1200 by 300. I made sure to put that so you could see that. So I open that, and it's going to create the header. Done. So when people get to it, now they have a visual that it's a forklift inspection, or you can put your company name up there too. And when you preview it, oh, look at that. So they know they're on a forklift inspection. You could use a visual for harnesses. You could use company logo, whatever you want to personalize it. But 1200 by 300, and it will fit perfectly in there. So you've got the forklift inspection. You got a header. But let's say you want to change the color in the background. Well, the same thing. I'm going to close it and then I'm going to open it again. Customize template. Same place where I added. You could come down here to color. You can add background. You can add dark. And if you look at the screen, it's changing. I'm going to change it to orange. So this also gives a good visual representation for people that have to look at it. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to pick like a green because if it's your company colors or something like that. Some people like that, because that's the way it looks. And then we'll look at the finished product. Oh, there it is. It's green. So again, this gives some, visual stuff. They'll say, hey, forklift is green, harnesses are red, this is blue, and there you go. So let's say now that you want to be able to put the QR code on top of all of, your forklifts. It doesn't have to be on a specific forklift because I'm going to come down here and I'm going to pick it. But to be able to pull this up, instead of having to dig through dozens of forms, we're going to generate a QR code. And the way we do that, you see up here on the top right, it says send. So we click on send. You could send the link to email. You could send the link here, and you see there, look how long that is. Or you can embed the HTML into a code or email. So we want to shorten it, and there it goes. All right, so again, you could send it by email, forklift inspection. You could send that to anybody. But if we're going to make a QR code, we want to do this. So I've got it, I'm copying it, and then I go to QR Code Monkey. That's my favorite. You don't have to use this. If you got a QR code generator, you can do this. So I'm going to put this in, I'm going to paste it, and then I don't need statistics. I'm going to tell it to generate the QR code. So it generated, you can adjust the size right here, because we're going to attach this to the label. That's simple. You could paste that. We're going to download a PNG because you want it high quality. It's being generated. And what's going to happen is you could open a Word document, if you have a label maker, attach the PNG to that, and see, there it is. So we're going to do QR code. We're saving it. We're going to do that. We're going to open up a Word document, and I'm just simply doing this so you could get an idea how to generate the labels. And there it is. So I had to this is set up, but I opened a Word document. If you take your phone right now and you scan that code, guess what it's going to open to? It's immediately going to go back to your forklift inspection right there. So they take their phone, you put the QR code anywhere you want. It's best if you put it on like the side of the vehicle or on the side of the cab. Some people put it on the dash. And then people are like, oh, that's really great. How do I know that they performed the inspection? How do I know that they got everything done? So hold on, let me close out these other inspection things where we were going through this, and let me show you how to do this. So right there, you've got the form, right? So you got responses if you have the access to this, and you can send the link. But right here where you develop the questions and you developed your whole program, remember up here? Well, to get your spreadsheet, go to responses. And right here, you see that little green thing? That's going to open it in an Excel sheet. So whoever has this link up here, you could send that in the email. You could copy that, however you want to do it. They could come here, click on here, and all the inspections will be in there. Look at that. So not present. Everything I did, look at the time and date stamps. So that's why you don't have to put a time and date stamp into any of these, because it's automatically, as soon as they make the entry, it's going to put down the time it was done. So you don't need to add that feature to it. You can if you want, because what I know some people do is they fail to do their inspection at the time it started their shift, and they'll go back, and you could do all kinds of stuff with this. I clicked on that. But what I was trying to do was show you over here everything that passed, failed. You could download your spreadsheet, but it shows which lift was used. Did it pass? Did it fail? And that gives you a good representation, the time it was run, the hours that were on the piece of equipment, everything that's important for you to have for your inspections. So there you go. There's how to generate a form. Here's how people will see it. And here's how you can track all the inspections being completed. Thank you for your time, and we hope this has been beneficial.